This conference will now be recorded.
Excuse
Okay, first of all, let's discuss about manual testing, right? So what is a manual testing? Anyone? Any idea? No problem, whether it may be a wrong answer or a right answer. What is manual testing? Okay, executing test cases with manual intervention, right? So let's consider I have a test cases. I have a test cases. If I want to execute, so I can execute manually, right? So one second.
This conference will now be recorded.
Executing test cases with manual intervention because the human resources involved in this execution, that is we are calling as manual testing, right? Then what is automation testing? Executing TCS test cases with human effort, or else executing test cases with manual intervention, right? So that is we are calling as manual testing. There are some drawbacks in manual testing. Because of the drawbacks of manual testing, automation testing came to the picture. Now let's consider one example here. See here, so already we know it, right? So there are how many environments generally in any organization? Generally here, developer environment, nothing but application with developer here develops here by developers, right? And then testing environment, nothing but QA environment, like, and then one more environment, production environment. Delivery or production. See here, there are three environments generally in any organization, software organization. Let's consider these organization, any organization implementing one application here. Let's consider this is my application. Just you can imagine a Amazon application, right? So whenever the developer implements the application, this implementation done parts of either sprint or a module, right? So for every sprint they will give you a unique number. Let's consider this is sprint 001, right? After the implementation of sprint 001, and people will give it to you in QA environment, right? So now you have an availability of the application in QA environment. Now you have to execute your test cases whenever you received a build, or whenever you receive a sprint. Now you have to execute your all the test cases one by one. For the sprint 001, let's consider you have a test case of, let's say sprint 001. So you have a test case of 100. Now you have to execute how many test cases here? 100 test cases. Yes or no? You have to execute 100 test cases for sprint 001. Sprint nothing but for every sprint, for every module, there will be a certain time, whether it may be a 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month. Let's consider this is a 1 week, right? So for to implement for this piece of code, to implement this sprint, the developer have taken 1 week time. Let's consider this is 1 week, right? So after that they will give it to you testing in QA environment. For to test this entire sprint, testers also taken 1 week. This is 1 week. Let's consider now first sprint completed. Then second week, second sprint, right? Obviously there will be a second sprint on a second week. Now it's a second week and people are implemented one more piece of code. Now it is a combination of two pieces of code, right? And again, testers also have to test in second week. Let's consider for sprint 001, people are having testers having 100 test cases. For sprint 002, again you have a 100 test cases, or else let's avoid the confusion, 200 test cases. For sprint 001, first module we have 100 test cases. For sprint 002, we have a 200 test cases, right? So now tell me, what is regression testing? Anyone can message me, or if you're confident, you can unmute your mic and give me the answer. Jyoti?
Executing previous test cases on new build.
Exactly. Executing previous build test cases on new build, right? See, whenever we received the new build, we have to execute previous build test cases. Now let's consider we received a second build, we received second sprint. On second sprint, we have a 200 test cases. But earlier, how many test cases I have? 100, right? Now I have to verify whether my previous functionality is working fine or not. In previous module, last week I have executed 100 test cases. Last week, these 100 test cases pass. Right? So now last week, these 100 test cases pass. Now it's second week. After receiving my second module, after receiving my second sprint, now this week, I have to execute how many test cases? Altogether, I have to execute how many test cases? 100, 200 or 300? Just ping me here. Now I received sprint 2. How many test cases I have to execute? Either 100 or 200 or 300. Exactly, Bhagavi. Exactly, Jyoti. Good. Now we have to execute overall 300 test cases. Now out of 300 test cases, on second week, how many test cases come to regression? How many test cases comes under regression among these 300? Exactly, 100, right? So before, don't go blindly for executing 300 test cases. Whenever you received a new module, what are the steps you have to follow? The first step one is, first of all, you have to verify whether your high level functionality is working fine or not. That is nothing but smoke testing, right? That is nothing, you have to do smoke testing. For that smoke testing, you may have a 2 to 3 test cases. Let's consider we have a 10 test cases. Now initially you have to execute, or you have to verify whether the build is stable or not. First, initially you have to do build verification testing, right? So that is, you have to done with smoke testing by executing your smoke test cases. Now you have executed your smoke test cases, all your high level test cases pass. If your high level test case pass, then you have to do, so what is the second step? Your second step is you have to do the regression. Nothing but you have to execute your previous build test cases. You have to execute your regression test cases. You have to execute your 100 test cases. How many test cases you have? You have 100 test cases. You have to verify whether your previous functionality is working fine or not by executing previous build test cases. Right? If your previous build test cases all are passed, then you have to go for new build test cases. Now, step 3, go for this build test cases. Now, how many test cases I have right now? These 200 test cases, right? So among the overall, I have a 300. Out of 300, let's consider smoke test case 10. So whenever you received a build, you have to execute your smoke test cases. After executing smoke test cases, first initially, then you have to go for a regression testing. Nothing but previous test cases. Why we are going for previous build test cases? After adding a new module, after changing new functionality, let's consider, so whenever you received a build on a second week, it contains two modules, right? It contains two functionalities. Let's consider this is the first one, and let's consider this is the second one. It contains two functionalities, first one and second one. Now you received the two functionalities in a second week. Now you have to verify whether the first functionality is working fine or not by executing your previous build test cases. And step 3, after completing regression, you have to execute these 200 test cases, nothing but your current build test cases. Clear? So regression, nothing but executing previous build test cases on new build. This is a very, 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 very important. This part is very, very important. It's a crucial thing. Why I'm saying it's a crucial thing? Let's consider for executing these 100 test cases, it's taking 1 week time, right? But altogether, how much time the people are giving to us in QA environment? How much time we are getting? Altogether, we are getting only 1 week. Within a 1 week, you have to execute these 100 test cases, previous build test cases, and current build test cases. Altogether, you have to execute 300 test cases. Let's consider if you are getting one more sprint, third week, if you are getting one more sprint, for this sprint also, you may have 300 test cases. Now, if these sprints are keep on going, if the sprints are keep on increasing, obviously your test case also keep on increasing, but your time is increasing. No, right? So for every week you have to execute hundreds of test cases. Let's consider your company having only one resource or two resources. So if it is keep on increasing at certain particular point of time for attain certain n sprint, let's consider I'm giving this is a sprint 00n. Now for this one, you may have n number of test cases. If it is keep on increasing, it's humanly not possible to executing regression test cases. Humanly not possible, and not at all. It's impossible. As a human being, we cannot execute hundreds of test cases within a 1 week of time. But anyway, the people are going to change the sprint time. At this time, to overcome this regression, to execute your regression testing, people are introduced the concept called automation testing tools. Executing test cases. What is nothing but automation? Does nothing but executing test cases using automation tool or tools. Here the drawbacks of manual testing is for regression it is taking a lot of time, right? So let's consider it's a time consuming. One of the drawback is regression time consuming, right? And the second one is too much costly. Let's say high expensive or else, right? So these two are the major drawbacks of manual testing. And one more thing, if anyway, so you have 100 test cases, you have a 1 week time. So as a human being, if you keep on executing test cases, if you keep on doing the work, at certain point of time you may get bored, right? And there may be a chance of doing a mistake. Nothing but there may be a chance of decrease in quality, application quality. Somehow you miss some bug. So that is caught by end people or client. Obviously, it is a bad for your organization, your reputation, and your team, the quality of the product. Right? There's a high chance of doing a mistake. Right. So first one is time consuming, high expensive, and there's a chance of doing a mistake. So to overcome these drawbacks, people are introduced automation testing tools. What is mean by automation? Executing our test cases by using any automation testing tool, right? So as of now, in the market, we have a different automation testing tools. We have a different automation testing tools like Selenium, and earlier we have a QTP, Selenium, QTP, APM, and Catalone. We have a n number of automation testing tools in the market, and the people are segregated here. All the automation testing tools tools into two segments. The first one is licensed one, and second one is free sources. Licensed one in the sense you have to purchase the tools, and free source in the sense you don't need to spend at least a single penny. You will get all the tools. You can download the tools from net without paying a single NP. Right? So there are certain tools which are very famous in licensed one, and there are certain tools which are freely available in the market. Anyway, so if you don't want to spend amount, go for a free source. So one of the famous automation testing tool under free source is Selenium. Right? So the Selenium was introduced in 2004. So initially, Selenium is introduced as Selenium IDE. So IDE nothing but integrated development environment. So nothing but it is a tool, automation testing tool. So why I am saying is a tool. See, so it's tool nothing but already in general English, tool nothing but one of the instrument, right? One of the instrument which can decrease your work, which can helpful to doing your work within a short span of time. Let's consider a screwdriver and all those things we are saying as a tool, right? See, what are the drawbacks we have in manual testing? So regretting time consuming, high expensive, and high chance to doing mistakes. So these are the mistakes we are avoiding by executing our test cases with the help of automation testing tool like Selenium and QTP, APM, Catalone, all those things. But we are going to learn Selenium, one of the famous automation testing tool. We'll discuss about the in detail about the Selenium. So why it is got so much famous, why we are preferring the Selenium, why people are of much interest to recruit the Selenium people. There are plenty of advantage with Selenium. So one of the advantages is free tool. It's a open source. You can download Selenium without paying any rupee to anyone. That is one of the best first advantage, right? So Selenium introduced in 2004 as a Selenium IDE. It's a first flavor of Selenium IDE. So I'll show you Tim how the implementation, how the Selenium is introduced, right? So I have one image. See, this is the image. So this is the image of Selenium IDE at the time of introduced in 2004. This is just like a record and playback tool. It's a tool you can record and playback. You can record your test case and you can play back after releasing your build. See, what is the process here when the development of application by the testing of application? So the initially developer application and give it to you in QA environment. Whenever you have availability of application in QA environment, so you have to execute your test cases. That is the actual process doing in manual testing, right? So whenever you have a automation testing tools like Selenium, first of all, especially Selenium IDE, first of all, you have to record your test cases whenever you received a bill in QA environment, and you have to execute your test cases by playing, right? See here. So here you have options to record your test cases, and you have options to play your test cases. Nothing but executing your test cases. This is a record and playback. Here we are having a red button. We are having a play button. So first initially here you have to write a by the time of writing, so manually we are writing test case in Excel sheet, right? So we are writing Excel sheet, we are writing test case in Excel sheet. But in automation tools like IDE, here we have to record our test cases. So after recording, you have to save your test cases, whether it be 100 or 200. Whenever you have a availability of, whenever you have a changes, whenever the people are adding a sprint, you have to execute your test cases. So let's consider a previous example. We have received second sprint. Now we have to verify if first 100 test cases working fine or not. So let's consider we have recorded 100 test cases. Now you have a availability of 100 test cases. Now the people are given application to in your environment. Now you have to play your test cases. Nothing but just open your Selenium IDE. You have to play these 100 test cases. Now these 100 test cases pass. If your 100 test cases pass, then you can say your last previous functionality is working fine, and it can achieve within a fraction of minutes. No need to spend a lot of time. Clear? And I'll show you team how to record. So I have one of the add-on here. I have one of the plugin here. Here I have added. So no need to you, just for demo purpose I'm showing. So this is the advanced version of Selenium IDE. Now we are not at all using Selenium IDE, but for knowledge purpose I am saying. Okay, so here this is the UI of current version Selenium IDE 3.161. Now let me record one test case. See here, there is an option called record a new test in a project, new project. Clear? So let me click this one, and this is asking me project name. Let me give any project. Let me give it's a test project demo, right? Test project demo. I'm giving the project name. Let me click on OK. It is asking me URL. I have to provide my application URL. As of now, let's consider we are working for Amazon. Let me give a fully qualified URL, https://www.amazon.com. This is my application. Now start recording. It will open the application, right? So let me show you parallelly the IDE here. See here, this is the IDE. Here it is in record mode. See here, already it is recording. If you want to stop recording, you can click on this red button. So based on your actions, Selenium IDE going to record. Your actions will going to record. So the first action is launching browser and entering my application URL. This is captured by Selenium IDE. So let's consider my first test case is, so after launching browser, here I want to verify whether this search functionality is working fine or not in this application. For that, let's consider to verifying that search functionality is working fine or not. First of all, I'm clicking this inside this text box. After that, I'm entering one data. Now I'm trying to search iPhone 11. After entering data, just click on the search button. This is my test case. Manually, it is a test case pass. And again, I am recording the test case in IDE. See, observe here. See, so this is open application. It is recording my all actions. It is recording. Set window size. The windows is maximized, and click on this text box. After that, going to somewhere. This is capturing all these things and entering some data. After that, click on the search button. After that, you have to save it. Now my test case execution pass completed. Now serious. The target, this is a web element on which the action is performing. The value we are entering. See here, this is a text box. I entered iPhone 11. It is captured by Selenium IDE. Right? Let me pause this test case or stop this test case. Okay, it is asking me test case name. Let's consider Amazon test case. Sorry, test case 001. This is my first test case. Let me click on OK. See here, this is my test case name. Like this, you have to record your test cases, all the test cases, whether it may be 100, 200, 300. Right? Now, next sprint, whenever you received a next sprint, third sprint, you have to execute these 100 test cases and 200 test cases, previous build test cases. The process is already we have a process, right? First, we initially just verify whether the build is stable or not. For that, we have to do smoke testing. Couple of test cases, important test cases or high level test cases. After that, you have to go for a regression testing, nothing but previous build test cases. So whenever you receive a third build, so already you have a recorded 100 test cases, or else possible you can record this 200 test cases. Now I have to verify my previous functionality 100 and 200. Let's consider I have recorded all my 300 test cases, first build and second build. Now I have to execute 300 test cases like this. Whenever you have availability of third sprint, whenever the people are deploy the application into QA environment, you have to execute over all 300 test cases, previous build test cases, by opening the Selenium IDE. So here you have a play option, right? See here, run current test. So you have to execute all test cases one by one, or you can execute at a time all hundreds of test cases. Let me play this test case. Observe carefully, team. So I'm clicking this play button. Now observe. See here, it is open the window. Sorry, it is open the application. Enter the URL. Right? It is entering iPhone. Click on search button. Observe, team. See, it is a green color. Nothing but my test case is pass. Let me play one more time. That's why we are calling as record and playback tool. Selenium IDE is a record and playback. You can record your test case and you can play your test cases. And let me play one more time this test case. I'm clicking play. Launching browser, entering URL, clicking the search button, entering iPhone 11, click on the search button. Okay. Browser close, and this is saying the green color, consider my test case pass. That's how the implementation of IDE. People are not using this IDE right now because there are certain limitations with this IDE. Let's say, so this application URL change, again you have to change the URL. Let's say some of the option properties change, you have to edit your test case. Again, you have to record your test case. This is not such flexibility. We don't have a much flexibility here. So for this, there are a number of limitations. But anyway, this is the first flavor of Selenium IDE. Selenium. Clear? That is the Selenium IDE. So no need to get much deep into the Selenium IDE because we are not going to use the Selenium IDE. And second, we have a Selenium RC. So Selenium RC is not a record and playback tool. It's a request and response tool. So again, this is also not used by anyone right now. So there are a number of limitations for Selenium RC. So because of request and response, they are taking a lot of time to execute your test cases. So now the people are not all using. Now it's completely waived off. Now the advanced version and the current version right now, the Selenium is available in the market is Selenium WebDriver. And the first thing you have to consider here, Selenium WebDriver is not a tool. It is not a tool. It is what is it is an API, application programming interface. So what is an API? Why we don't call Selenium WebDriver as a tool? So we'll discuss in detail, right? So API nothing but application programming interface. Nothing but it's a piece of code written by so and so people. So to execute our test cases, we are using that piece of code. So you will get a package code, nothing but Selenium API that you have to add to your project and write your test scripts and execute your test cases whenever you want. Clear, team? So we'll discuss in detail. So now the Selenium is available in the form of Selenium WebDriver. From the 2000, Selenium WebDriver is introduced in around 2009, and now it's one of the successful, one of the most famous automation testing tool in the market. Able to follow what I'm saying? Now let's discuss about Selenium WebDriver. See, I'm saying it is not a tool. Then what it is? The official website of Selenium WebDriver is seleniumhq.org. This is the official website of Selenium. So what it is saying, Selenium automates browser. That's it. Selenium, it can communicate with browser. After that, do what you want to do. It can automate your browser. Nothing but it will open your application, right? So it will enter the data into any text box. It will click on any element, select a value from the drop down, click on checkbox, radio button, and switch into multiple windows, and launch browser, close browser, and switch into frame. So file upload. These are all the things done what you are doing on a browser. You can automate everything using Selenium WebDriver, right? So why the Selenium WebDriver is famous now in the market? Because it supports multiple languages. First of all, it supports multiple languages. There are tools earlier before the Selenium, so which supports only one language. Now the Selenium supports multiple languages like Java, C#, Python, Ruby, Perl, PHP. There are a number of languages so which can Selenium WebDriver supports, and it can support multiple platforms like Windows, Macs, Linux. You can execute your test cases in any environment by using your Selenium WebDriver. And moreover, you can execute. What is meant by compatibility testing, team? Anyone? What is a compatibility testing? Jyoti?
Executing in different platforms.
Exactly. So executing your test cases in different environments and different browsers, right? So Selenium IDE supports different browsers. Let's consider, see, again, the manual testing, let's consider in first sprint, you have 100 test cases, right? So let's consider your team or your manager or your client is said that, so execute these 100 test cases in different platforms like Mac environment, right? Like Windows environment, like Linux environment. Now, again in Mac environment, execute your test case in Chrome browser and Chrome browser or Safari browser and Firefox browser. And again, remember, for each and every browser, there are versions. Now the Chrome version, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's a 79. Now we before that we have a 78. For every browser, there are versions. People are releasing all version by version for each and every browser. And again, people are saying that execute your test cases on Chrome 78 and 79 and IE browser, IE version 10, comma version 11, like this. See, there is no guarantee if my application is working in Chrome 79, it should be again work on Windows or IE environment 10. There may be some problem. There may be some issue here. For that, you have to execute, you have to verify your test cases in each and every platform and each and every browser based on a client requirement. So here, what is my client requirement? Execute your test case in Mac environment and Windows environment. Execute your test case again in Chrome 78 and 79, Safari, Firefox. And execute your test case in Windows environment in IE browser 10 version, IE browser 11 version. And again, the Linux, if possible, Linux. And again, browser. So compatibility in sense, this is the, so this is the one more major advantage using automation testing. You can execute your test cases, nothing but here we have to say test scripts. In automation, we are saying as test scripts. You have to execute your test cases. If you want to execute your test cases in multiple platforms, in multiple browsers, it is pretty easy. If you going for a manual test, we go for a manual testing, right? So executing your test cases in one platform, nothing but select, for example, Windows in Chrome browser. The combination is Windows environment and Chrome browser. Now this is only taking 1 week time. Then when will you execute in different environments like Mac, Linux, and again in Linux environment, so and so browser, again so and so browser, so and so version? This is not at all possible. But if you go for automation testing, that's you can play with platform, you can play with browsers, and you can play with browser version also. That is a big advantage using automation. And here again, our Selenium supports multiple platforms and multiple browsers, and again it supports multiple languages. Let's consider, so already you have a knowledge on Java. No need, suppose if you have a knowledge on Java, you can write a simple code in Selenium WebDriver. No need to learn one more language. Let's say you are strong in Python. You can write Selenium code by using Python. Clear? See, that is what the same Selenium people are saying. So it can automate your browser. What at all you are doing manually in browser, that are all can possible to automate by using Selenium WebDriver. What we are doing finally in browser on application, entering data, clicking on element, opening multiple windows, selecting a drop-down value, selecting a radio button, right? These are all can possible by using your Selenium WebDriver. Just download your Selenium. So just download your Selenium. So go to downloads. See, it support multiple languages. So language, Selenium client, WebDriver language bindings. So if you are Ruby, just download this one. If you are JavaScript, download this one. If you are Java, download this one. If you are Python, download this one. Then again, these can support in different platforms. Just download this one. Just if you download this one, so if it will give you one package, that package add it to your application and play with your application and run your write your scripts, run your script whenever you want. Again here, let's say this is your writing test scripts. Let's consider you have 100 test cases. This is a real-time example team which I'm saying right now. So 100 test cases. Now you have 100 test cases availability. These are the 100 test cases. This is a real-time example. Don't confuse here. Now you have 100 test cases and you have written the scripts 100 test cases. Now you have saved. Let's consider Monday. Let's consider Friday end of the day. Developer given to you development this module. Friday end of the day. Now Friday, Saturday, Sunday you won't able to execute 100 test cases, right? Manually. But if you are going for automation, let's consider just you can few steps. By using few steps you can execute your 100 test cases without your presence. Friday itself you can start your execution. That execution keep on going, but you are in a holiday. So whenever you came on Monday, so on desk you will have availability of 100 test cases report. So there is no wastage of time here. Or else one more example I can say here. See, so you have written 100 test cases. Now the people are given the application. Now you have to execute 100 test cases today itself. So throughout the night, so you can execute 100 test cases without your presence. That is the beauty of automation. That is the beauty of Selenium here. And moreover, let's consider, so developer deploying the build at night 12 p.m. Can you able to execute your test cases on any time? Let's consider the people are deploying 12 a.m. So 12 a.m. So the developer, your manager asking you to reports of these 100 test cases morning 10 o'clock itself. Now you are coming to the office at 10 o'clock only. How can you view your 100 test cases report at 10 o'clock? It's not at all impossible, right? So if you are going for automation, if you're going for a Selenium WebDriver, so you can give you these 100 test cases whenever you come to the office. Tell me how it's possible, right? Let me tell you. See, you have 100 test cases and people are deploying the build at 10 to 12 o'clock. See, you can give a command like this. So whenever the development team deploy the build in QA environment, so there are certain tools having like Git and Jenkins. There are certain tools like Git and Jenkins. By using these tools, you can set your execution time, execution start time. Let's say people are deployed the bill at 10 o'clock. You can start your execution time at 12:10, or else you can start your execution at 1 a.m. So if you start your execution 1 a.m., let's consider to execute these 100 test cases in automation tool, it is taking 4 hours or else 5 hours. So let's tell me now you have a availability of all the test cases within 5 hours. Let's consider it is taking 5 hours. Within 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock it will execute and give it to you, so before coming to the office. Now whenever you came to the office, then you can submit your report, 100 test case report, to your manager. Boss, this is the execution report of this 100 test cases. And let's consider even you don't know exact time of application deployment. You don't know whether the development team will deploy the application in your environment, whether it will be 12 p.m., 12 a.m. or 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Let's consider, so there is a serious release happening. They deployed build at morning 6 a.m. And this time the people are deployed the build it at morning 6 a.m. Irrespective of the deployment time, you can give a command to your application, boss. So whenever you have a availability of application, you can give a command like just start the execution of my test cases. You can give a command like this. That is the beauty of automation testing. Irrespective of your release time, irrespective of the deployment time, you can execute your test cases. Whatever the time deployment happen, but you can give your report whenever the deployments happen within a fraction of within a short time, within hours of time, you can execute hundreds of test cases. And here there is no doing mistake. There is no chance to doing mistake. As a human, we may do the mistakes at any point of time if I get bored. As an automation testing tool cannot do the mistakes. Clear? And it will be 100% genuine, 100% pure. That is the advantage we'll have in automation testing. So anyway, we can integrate our Selenium WebDriver with different tools like Git, Jenkins. It supports number of tools, right? So let me give one more point here. The fourth one is support integration of different tools like TestNG, like Git, like Jenkins, like Maven. There are different tools like in team. So we'll discuss these tools and integration and one by one. So it can be supported by the integration of these tools. Clear? And so there are a number of advantages by using Selenium WebDriver. So it supports multiple platforms, it supports multiple browsers, it supports integration of different tools. Right? So what you are doing manually on top of the browsers, on top of your application, you can do all those things by using Selenium WebDriver. The simple single statement, Selenium WebDriver is an API. It's not at all a tool. Remember, if anyone will ask you, so tell them Selenium WebDriver is not a tool. It's a API. API nothing but application programming interface. Just you can download this code. Nothing but if you download this one, you will get a code. We are into Java, right? So Selenium with Java. Just download this one and add it to your project. Just write the scripts. That's it. There is no UI like Selenium IDE. You are not able to see this Selenium UI with Selenium WebDriver. So people have written some code. By using that code, you have to write your test scripts. Nothing but your test cases. Whenever you want to execute your test cases, just execute. That's it. And it supports, obviously it supports multiple platforms, multiple browsers, and multiple versions, and supports integration of different tools. Clear thing? And along with advantages, Selenium have a few disadvantages. Even Selenium also having few disadvantages. The first thing is, and people are pretty interested to ask about the Selenium disadvantages and what you cannot automate by using Selenium WebDriver. And first thing is, we cannot automate Windows application. We cannot automate Windows applications, like window-based applications, like window-based pop-ups. What is meant by window-based application? First of all, we should know what is a web application, right? So what are the applications running on? What are the applications running on a web browsers? That is we are calling as a web applications. Already we discussed earlier, right? So server, browser, request, response. So what, let's consider these are all the applications like Amazon, Flipkart, all the applications, Gmail, all the applications, whatever we are opening on a web browser, that is we are calling as a web application. And our Selenium supports automate web applications only. We cannot automate Windows application. See, the application which are presenting on Windows, the desktop, see, this is my GoToMeeting, right? So we cannot automate this one. We can automate the application which is available on browsers only. That we can automate, but the application which are available in Windows, we cannot automate, right? And the second one is, so we cannot automate OTP type application. We cannot automate SMS type application, or we cannot automate videos type application, or we cannot automate barcode type application. Already we know, right, team? So bank application, whenever you try to log in, so people will send you the one OTP. You have to enter that OTP by the time of login. That type of application you cannot automate, or SMS, videos, and the barcodes. So except this one, you can do anything which is happening over in web browser. Clear? That is what automation testing. So advantage of automation testing: Selenium IDE, RCE, and WebDriver, right? So it's already 8, right? So tomorrow we'll discuss in detail. So we'll discuss in detail Selenium WebDriver and the Java. So we are going with Selenium with Java, right? So Selenium supports multiple languages like Java, C#, Python, Ruby. So I'm a lover of Java. We are going to Selenium with Java. So why we are going with Selenium with Java? Because we have a huge support with Selenium with Java. We have a huge support with Selenium with Java, and the people are pretty interested to recruit the people who are having Selenium with Java knowledge. Clear, team?